to set your entire rotation in advance, or will it depend on whether you win or lose game one?
Well, because we haven't announced, other than today, you know, it'll have some bearing. Have some bearing. You're talking about just obviously for these.
Not maybe necessarily to announce, but for what you guys are planning to do.
We know what we're planning to do, but some things are dictated by tonight's game, or tomorrow night's game.
Some things meaning like the actual identity of the game two starter.
Right. The game two starter could be dictated by how we do tomorrow night. I think it could be similar to what San Diego's doing.
Right down the line there, next to Tony.
Hi, Buck. What was it like watching Manny grow up, managing him? What was that relationship like, and what have you seen, given the early roots of that, the player he is today?
Well, you know, I've known he and Yene for a long time, and seeing I remember the first time I saw him, and then you know, we used to have with a day game. We had all our farm system clubs within 45 minutes. Most of them except for AAA, and my wife knew on Saturday or Sunday day games we were going to go over and watch. I think at that time he was in Aberdeen, and then it got into Frederick and Bowie. They're all right there, so got to see him a lot. But remember Brady Anderson going over and sitting on him for a few days to see if thought he was ready to come up and help us. At third base, we were kind of covertly working him out at third base at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think he probably figured out what we were doing, but he has been real proud of him and his things he's turned into in a lot of ways. He's a good one.
And in the same vein, you've actually not just managed against Bob Melvin, you've managed Bob Melvin. So you guys have done this full timeline. What's it been like to know Bob in a couple of different ways?
Very proud of Bob. He's an outstanding manager, and you know, well thought of, and a challenge. You know, he's always prepared, and his team's always ready to play. Bob saved my job one day with the Yankees, I think, when he had a DH. I was looking for a right-handed DH against Randy Johnson. And yes, we did look at matchups back then. We did look at history, and he had a hit or two off of Randy, and that was good enough for me because one of my right-handed hitters, I think it was Laritz, wasn't going to be able to play that day, so I think we were carrying 3 catchers at the time. And Bob got the DH, and I got a lot of communication to me that wasn't a real good idea from people other than the media, and I think Bob got a double or home run, I'm not sure, but it was a key blow.
Homer.
I know, I didn't want to. Made my day. As it left the park, if I could have done some dance up the runway, which I think I did, very much like Randy Velarde when I was told not to play him, and he hit a home run in Fenway. And one of the coaches called me celebrating it because, you know, I got to keep my job for another day. So thanks, Bob.
Dave?
Buck, back to the rotation for a second. Obviously, the 3-game series is a new
Yeah,
twist.
it's hard. We kept trying to
twist
reach there for some. It's hard, you know, to project it a little bit. It's different. I think someone told me in here how long it's been since someone actually did it.
But when you're looking at, like, you're going to base it on that, like you said, the first, whether you win or lose in game one. You have to think ahead to the next round when you're thinking about this? I mean, I wouldn't call it a luxury that you can do that, but is that something that has to enter into your thinking just because of the short time frame and the number of games you're dealing with?
The focus is completely on tomorrow night's game, but you know, when you're doing rosters and stuff without jeopardizing being able to put your best foot forward in these 3 games, you do have to at least consider that. Everybody does, you know. So the tiebreaker will always be what's best for these 3 games. But we have people capable of pitching. You know, all through the rotation. The only reason we've been able to put together a pretty good year is that we've had some depth in our rotation.
Tim?
On that note, starting pitchers are often very routine-oriented and regimented people. Are you how confident are you that DeGrom or Bassett can go, not necessarily knowing what day they're going to pitch at this point?
All they know, we talked about this a week ago, at least, and they've been aware for a long time where it falls. And it's like if you got rained out, would you be able to pitch the next day? They're faced with similar stuff, but they know the order, how it may fluctuate. It's kind of been a strength of our club is the guys don't let their ego get in the way of it. Tell me when I can contribute and I will.